Hi, Karen Sullivan here from lifehealthmore.net, and I'm going to talk about cold and flu today. Thanks a lot for joining me, either live or in broadcast, in the rebroadcast. I have also the pleasure of having a YouTube channel, so I take these things and drop them over there also. But that's not what we're talking about today. What I want to talk about is cold, and I have been struggling with the cold all week, and I felt like this was an opportune time for me to talk about what's going on with the cold and the flu symptoms and everything. And so when you get sick, well, I know it stinks, and I have seen a lot of stuff on Facebook where everybody has complained about being sick and how long it's knocked them out. I have a friend whose two children were like trading back and forth with the colds and whatever was going on with them for like a month. She was just not around because she was home with her children, as where she should be. But it's difficult to try and deal with life and working and all that when you have sick children or you yourself are sick. So I want to go back in time and talk about in the early 80s. Well, maybe even before that. As a kid, I was, relatively healthy from what I remember with the childhood diseases and chicken pox and that sort of a thing, and never really struggled with anything except allergies. I did have allergies to dust, which I don't know who doesn't have a problem with dust. It gets in your nose, tickles, and makes you sneeze. But I don't remember anything more than that, really, okay? When I moved in the early 80s, I moved from my hometown of Dover, Delaware. I moved to Virginia Beach, Virginia. And I was there for about 6 months before I noticed something. I woke up one morning and I felt like I couldn't get air. I couldn't get air. It's not that I just felt it, but I was struggling to breathe. And it frightened me tremendously. And at the time, my cousin Cheryl Wills, who is one of my business partners now, I called her and she said, I know that there's a man that goes to my church and his name is Dr. Everett. Why don't you tell him you know me and see if you can get in there. So I did, and I went in and I dragged myself in and went, and he said, you have asthma. And I said, I've never had asthma in my life. He said, well, you do. You have asthma, and this is the protocol. And I remember at the time, they didn't have the inhalers, that you took an oral medication, and it was the same thing that's in the inhalers, but at a smaller dosage. But I do remember that it made my heart race, and it helped me to breathe, but it was just not wonderful. And so I was having a discussion with him, and I said, I don't understand. He said, well, this happens usually. Have you just moved here? I said, yes. Well, turns out that there is an occasion sometimes where people will develop an allergy to something when they're in a new area. And the thing that he pretty much determined from just asking questions was there's a lot of pine in Virginia Beach. I mean, a lot. When the pollen comes out in the spring, all your cars, everything outside, your deck furniture, your sidewalks is this fuzzy yellow, like a caterpillar, bad, intense, a lot of, and it was spring. And so Dr. Everett was saying, I believe that, you have never grown up around this. This has to do with a regional change, and you have just developed asthma from this. So, well and good. And so for years and years, I went with inhalers. I moved to Missouri, and there were some oral medications, and I had some problems, and went to a pulmonologist. And for a while there, I was on 4 different kinds of inhalers. I was on an oral medication of Singulair. I was on Advair, which is twice a day. I was on a rescue inhaler, which is like Prevental. I was on Combivent, and then I had a nebulizer, with you breathe into this machine, and I had that for acute times. And I remember going out, covering my face, couldn't be out, and if it was like even in the 40s would be too cold for my lungs to breathe the air. So that's my history. Pretty miserable existence. But I probably 5 years ago began changing my diet. And that's one of the things that I talk about in my book, The Zen of Weight Loss, about understanding how food affects your body. Okay. And realizing that there were foods that I was eating that were causing problems for me, whether sometimes I got a rash on my skin, other times I had a respiratory issue, that was the response to having a certain kind of food. I never had problems with headaches. I used to have gastrointestinal issues, whether I had like acid reflux and I was belching or whatever. And so as I began to realize, the foods I can't have, I shouldn't have, and I eliminated them from my diet, lo and behold, I didn't need my inhalers. I didn't need the pill, the Singulair pill that was daily. I pulled back on, stopped with the Convivent, stopped all the inhalers. And so it's been a solid 2 years now that I haven't used anything. Now, in addition to that, I coupled it with starting to increase my supplementation and find the things that would help to balance and make stronger my immune system. And so I did the multiple vitamins and the B complexes and alfalfa, which is really, really helpful. And so vitamin C, and there's a whole lot. And I can go into detail with you, but I'm telling you that it was like an epiphany, realizing it was not the food only, but it was I needed this support nutritionally. Okay. So henceforth, I have been a good 2 years with having a rescue inhaler that I keep in my back pocket only because I don't know. It's kind of like training wheels on a bike. You never really want to take them off. And I may have to use it once, maybe twice a month, and that's it. But all the other inhalers I don't use. I have them here if I need them. I have the nebulizer if I need it, but I haven't needed it in quite a long time. So when I started with this cold results, the first thing that I did was I started to use, now I had to use what I had in the house, okay, because that's what you do. I didn't go out and get it. I can get it quickly, but I use just the Shaklee products. So water, lots of water, 12 to 15 of these a day. They're 22 ounces I've been having, and they go down effortlessly. It's wonderful. So then I was also doing this Vitalized Immunity. And it's the equivalent of 19, one of these tablets. I'll pull one out and show it to you. One of these tablets is kind of effervescent and it dissolves in a glass of water. Like I do about 6 ounces, and it's the equivalent of 19, the vitamin C that's in 19 oranges. So I went to the doctor yesterday and, I started feeling better with taking this. Let me back up. Sorry, I'm kind of all over the place. It's because I'm excited. I really feel good. So I just sound kind of funky, right? I started taking the Defend and Resist complex that has echinacea and has black elderberry, larch tea, and zinc in it. And this I started taking 2 tablets 3 times a day, okay? And I didn't worry about whether it was meals or not. I just took it. And that, along with the vitamin C that I had in here, because that's what I had. I also used this Hydrate. This is the orange. I also have the lemon lime, so that it would make the water really help to get into my muscles, because I felt dehydrated from all this phlegm and everything, and I was getting cramps in my muscles. So I upped this, okay? I also upped my calcium to help with that. So that said, then I began to just take care of myself. I did the Shaklee tea, which of course the green tea is great, but I also like the pomegranate. And I've been drinking liquids. I'm about to float away. And really, truly, I am right now. I have another one that's called, I just buy this in the health food store, Gypsy's Cold Care, which is nice. It's wonderful. I don't know that it helps me get better, but it helps me feel good. And then this orange and cinnamon spice, which is what I'm drinking now. Now, for those of you that came to my tea exchange, there is a ginger peach stash. You see that? I don't know who brought this, but I want more. And so I've been saving this package so I can ask people who brought this tea, because just delightful. So they're all decaffeinated and they're all wonderful. Okay. So lots of fluids and everything. And then because the history that I have with colds and with my asthma-ish responses, I knew that, I was afraid that I would be this weekend and end up worse, because the norm for me has been having to go and get oral steroids and an antibiotic, because it ends up going into a bronchial infection. And of course, I didn't want that at all. And so I just decided I'm going to go talk to my doctor. So I went into the office yesterday, and I went through this whole history with him. And he asked me what I was doing now. He was very impressed with this vitamin C amount. And I said, that's all I have right now. He said, that's wonderful. He just was very excited about that. He said, yeah, keep doing that. He didn't comment too much about the Defend and Resist. And I told him that I was doing this herbal blend. And he said, oh, do you feel like it's helping? I said, yes. He said, well, just keep doing that. And of course, if you exercise, which, as you know, I'm a fitness instructor, I try to, and then once I get breathless, then I have to stop. But he said, just sort of remain active, and don't go overboard, and drink some water, and it should help you. Now, in a perfect world, I would have had also garlic and Shaklee garlic products, and all these are at lifehealthmore.myshaklee.com, that you can go and look it up and see about the products. I would have, and I will get some of that to have it in the house just to hold it, and then sustained release vitamin C. That's super stuff, because it deposits, it just dissolves and goes in your system over a period of time, which is great. This is sort of a one shot, great big load of vitamin C for my body, but I'm doing it maybe 3 times a day, I think. But anyway, what's happening now is that I'm feeling better, but I still have this cough symptom. So he has recommended, and sort of we went back and forth about it, because I love my doctor. He lets me do that. We talk health and fitness and nutrition, and he talks medicine, and we find an even place. So he said to take the inflammation out of the lungs, because they are definitely, irritated from this cold. He said to use the Advair Discus inhaler, which has the steroids in it. So I'm not having to take them orally. So I'm just using that one inhalation twice a day. I've had 2 inhalations, and I feel fantastic. So what I'd like to get you to remind yourself about is how your body responds. And so figure out about the foods, figure out about the medicines that you've done, when you've gotten sick before, how you've fought a cold, and don't hold off, getting the good products into the house, and the good food to help support you. You always want to be the very best you can be. And so make sure that you have the support with products that will help you to build back your strength when you've had a cold or have the flu or something. So all I've got to say to you guys is I'm on the mend. And if you have any questions about the products, I have put the website information there. Also, lifehealthmore.net is a way for you to plug into learning more about your body and understanding the process that needs to happen between your ears, as well as in your body and with your habits and your exercise. And it's a great training course. It's got videos, it's got emails that will help you to stay on course and be mindful. Because remember, the first thing that you need is to understand why you want to do something. Not just get over a cold, why you want to make a change in your strength, in your fitness, in your body size, in your weight. Decide why, and it has to be your heart's desire. That's your motivation. And motivation is very important, but it doesn't carry through until you have mindfulness and you're constantly keeping track. That's where you can use a journal, and it'll help you and it'll train you so that you are paying attention to what's going on around you. It's a great way to make changes in your body and your lifestyle that will last for a lifetime. I hope that you decide to do that with me. And if you have any questions, let me know. If you have a friend you think might need to hear this, tell them to see this video. Tag them in it. You take care. Be well.